Welcome back to In Doug's Garden, brought to you by the Davey Tree Expert Company. And we are not in Doug's Garden. We are visiting the Pittsburgh Botanic Garden. We're going to see some giant insects today. I'm getting a lot of work done in the garden. I love planting this time of the year. Answering a question about taking those suckers off tomato plants. Do you do that? And what's wrong with that crabapple tree? Now do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel. All right, let's go take a look at this garden. Well, Keith, there's something interesting behind you, and this is just one of the big bugs throughout the garden, right?
This is one of our new friends, and it's part of the David Rogers Big Bugs Plus Pollinator exhibit that's in place here at Pittsburgh Botanic Garden this summer, all the way through September 15th.
So how did it come about? What was the idea behind this?
Well, we here at the Gardens, we wanted to continue to draw audience and bring people on their adventures here at the Gardens by seeing and experiencing more things when they're on site. So we were looking for a traveling exhibit, as they're called, to engage the artists with here at the Gardens, and David Rogers made sense, especially his subject matter, but also the quality and the details of the work that he's created.
I mean, that one's beautiful. I didn't expect it to be made out of wood.
It's wonderful. The wood, the metal, for some support obviously into the ground, but you're right, this is like fine furniture. It's very nice.
So besides a giant daddy long legs, what else do we see when we explore the garden?
We have 10 sculptures on site. So we have a very large praying mantis that's about 17 feet long. We have a damselfly and a dragonfly, so you can learn about the differences in our lotus pond. We also have a hummingbird on a flower sculpture. We have we have 3 different bees in different parts of the garden that are doing different things. So one's by a bee skep, on a bee skep, which is an old type of a beehive. We have a bee on a flower. We also have ladybugs. We have a spider on a big net. A lot of fun things.
Talk about the reaction from visitors.
The visitors have been really enjoying it. So our first month on site, we had an over 50% increase in visitation compared to last year. But what they're seeing is fun in outdoor exhibits that they can relate to. They know what a praying mantis is. I mean, not every single person, but they relate to that. They know what a daddy longlegs is. But what we're really doing is connecting it through interpretation more to our ecosystem, our landscapes, and our plants, and trying to make that relationship for people, that the importance of these insects and birds and such are all about connecting us as a big unit.
And you have an event around this spider, right?
That's right. On the 3rd of August, we have Mr. Longlegs' Neighborhood Festival happening right here in this event space.
So what are some of the other things that people can see and do when they come?
Well, throughout the weeks and the days here at Pittsburgh Botanic Garden, we have drop-in programming, so people can participate in an activity that relates to the exhibits, many of them. We also have interpretive signage that people can read about this insect and learn how it connects to our environment. But also the festival we have coming up, but even just being here, I think people, especially kids, but adults too, that think that this is a spider, for instance, and they're afraid of that, they need to learn that it's not. You know, daddy longlegs are not poisonous, which is actually a misconception that they're very poisonous. They're little friendly guys. You could actually watch and touch and have them walk around. But lots of things happening when they're on site.
What has been the most fun of having these giant bugs in the garden?
Well, I think the most fun is that they come alive at night and they walk around. No, we don't see that. That's not true. But it is kind of fun like that. Even David Rogers was talking about that, the artist. I think the most fun is that it's bringing people here. I really personally love to see people. I love to see kids and families here and them run around to the next one to see what they're finding. And they can follow the scavenger hunt and they can actually find the answer to the question on the bottom by visiting all the sculptures.
You should grow this, really. So while we're visiting the Pittsburgh Botanic Garden, I wanted to show you one of my favorite all-time plants. This is a native called mountain mint, and it is a pollinator magnet. When I did a story on pollinators, Dr. Mark Miller, who works out here, told me you will hear this plant before you see it because it is covered with pollinators, and if you look, you can see all the bees on here. Very easy to grow. Spreads, but not crazy like spearmint does. Just a wonderful plant. Well, it's always fun to visit the Pittsburgh Botanic Garden. How about those big bugs? It was pretty cool. Now, this time of the year, I love planting because early in the season, it just seems like a race, starting tomatoes and peppers and, in my case, an entire unheated greenhouse filled with things. But now the pressure's off. And what I'm planting today are just some leafy greens that will go into fall. And so as we come out of the really hot part of summer, we'll be able to harvest these and grow them well into winter. I've got a lettuce here called Sweet Valentine. Now in here is just a planting mix. We've got it moist, and the amount of water to put on here is so you squeeze it and it sticks together but doesn't drip. And so we're just going to sprinkle a few seeds on here. They always give you way too many seeds, and I always plant way too many seeds. I'm just going to want to put a couple down in here on each one of these. That's plenty. And then I'll be doing a lot of thinning. And then just take a little bit more mix, put it on top, like that. And then we push it in. We want the seed to have good contact with this moist soil, or moist planting mix actually. And always have to label Sweet Valentine lettuce. And this is from John Sheeper's Kitchen Seeds. I plant a lot of their stuff. Sweet Valentine. No need to add any water because we've got our mix where we want it. And we should have lettuce all the way through winter. And the number one thing we need to do after this is make sure that this never dries out until they sprout. We'll put this plastic on top. That will keep it moist. We will put it in a shady area until they sprout. And as soon as they sprout, we take that plastic off. We'll do our thinning, go to town, and I'll have lots of plants to give away, but I'll have lots of plants to put in the garden too. I've continued the bargain hunting and continued to plant different containers, bringing other containers in the garden. As I said, I love planting this time of the year. I actually went to the nursery twice in the same day. And so I'm going out, filling the truck with plants, then coming back, planting everything, and then thinking, well, I could use another spiller in here or a thriller in the middle, and just getting the best deals. Well, guess who got back into the garden when I left for a little 4-day trip? Mr. Deer sauntered in because I forgot to close the gate, but not too bad damage. Some of these cucumber vines got nibbled on, but I didn't lose very much. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about harvesting, and the best time to harvest anything out of the garden is going to be first thing in the morning. That's when they have the highest moisture content. I had a pretty good year for cucumbers. These came from Bednar's earlier in the season, and I've been picking like crazy. I'm not sure if these will keep putting cucumbers on. Look at that thing. That's a good size one. Well, we've got lots of stuff in the garden to take a look at and pull. I don't think that's the last one. This might put on some more cucumbers. We did get some rain recently, so we'll see. Let's keep picking. The deer never touched the kohlrabi. Are you growing kohlrabi? Because that is like the gardener's vegetable. The only people I know that really love it are people that grow it out of the garden. My son, who's 38, he loves kohlrabi since he was a kid. And I can't wait to have these. It's from the cabbage family. Kind of tastes like a cross between maybe cabbage and a radish. But they're good. Eat them raw or maybe with a little bit of a dip. Let's see what else we can harvest. We talk a lot about the failures that I have in this garden, but let's talk about a success. This basil is one we've talked about before. It's called Everleaf Emerald Towers. First thing, during all that heat, it never even tried to go to seed. What a basil will do is it will get hot, go to seed, and the flavor of the leaf changes. It's not bad, it's just different. So this one also grows like in this column-esque type of shape. So that's the towers part. Everleaf is that it doesn't flower, and emerald is that it looks beautiful, green, glossy leaves. A lot of times when they breed that disease resistance, this one is resistant to basal downy mildew, they breed that in and you lose the taste or the texture or the vigor. But this has got it all. It's got the taste, the texture, the vigor. And think about this for next year. put this on your list, because I'm growing this from seed, and I've had great luck with it. As I said, it's just vigorous, and we've been harvesting it, and it's a winner. I just love it. This is Juliet tomato, and it's one of my favorites, 1999 All-America selection. And I've got some red tomatoes on there, but the trick on Juliet and many tomatoes is you want to wait till they're really, really ripe to get the best flavor. I remember when this first came out, and everybody's raving about it because it's so productive and talking about the great taste, but if you pick them even 2 days early, they don't have that sweetness that they're going to have now. And so I'm waiting about 2 days, and I think we'll be good to go on these. Well, I picked a few peppers, harvested some basil, and I wanted you to see these beans. Do you remember when we planted these in this container? They are going absolutely nuts. Now, the ones that are about, I don't know, 3 weeks ahead of this have put beans on. They'll be coming. This is Borletti from Italy, and pretty soon I can see we're going to start to get flowers, and soon we'll have beans, and certainly a lot more peppers and tomatoes yet to come.
So what I want to know, is it true or false that I should pinch the suckers off of my tomato plants?
Well, Cecilia, that is an age-old question, and it depends on the gardener. So one theory is that you take off the suckers. These are just leaves that aren't fruiting, and that gives the plant more energy to put into putting on tomatoes. The other school of thought is we leave the suckers on because the tomatoes themselves do need a little shade, otherwise they'll get sun scald. So you can do it either way, whatever you think is best. I'm too lazy to pull off the suckers, and so I just let them do their thing, and I get plenty of tomatoes. Now it's time for Talking Trees from the Davey Tree Expert Company. I'm joined again by Luke Werner. He's a district manager for the North Pittsburgh office of the Davey Tree Expert Company. And right behind you, or above you, what's going on with my crabapple?
Yeah, so this is a leaf disease called apple scab. And what you will have is it will put spots on the leaves. It'll cause a little bit of nutrient deficiency there in the leaves, and then it'll drop off, and it'll drop those leaves in the summertime, usually when it gets like hot and dry.
Well, I love my crabapple. I would look out from the window in the spring and seeing it blooming. Is there anything I can do now, or I should have been doing something earlier?
You know, short of fertilization, that's about the only thing you can do that now. That's not going to combat or help the disease. It's going to help the tree. But to combat the apple scab disease, you can do fungicide applications in the early spring.
Okay, before we see signs of damage, right?
Correct, yeah, it's a preventative only. So once those buds start to break, they push out their new leaves. You want to do 2 to 3 applications, you know, spaced 14 to 21 days apart.
You know, last year we saw how you guys fertilize, but explain how that works, because I would love to get you guys coming in with that probe and putting it down in kind of a grid pattern for this tree, for a dogwood up here, and putting in a slow release fertilizer, right?
Yeah, so we used Davey Arbor Green Pro. We put that down in the fall. It's injected into the ground, into the root zone of the tree, so it gets into the ground below a lot of the root systems of some of the other plants. But we do that in a grid pattern out to the drip line, because that's where those roots go to on those trees.
So on this tree, am I going to lose it with apple scab, or is it over time as it gets it every year?
It's definitely over a period of time. It can cause some branch dieback, and then some limb dieback, and ultimately, you know, kill parts of the tree. But you know, if caught early, there's definitely good success with treating it.
You got any fertilizer in your truck?
I do.
Thanks so much.
Good.
All right, so I've got a dog that can't stand Rob Crueljack, and this dog usually loves everybody. I'm wondering, is it Rob or is it Davey?
No, it's not Davey. It's got to be Rob.
All right, well, I'm going to run in and get Lulu, and we'll see what the reaction is.
Hey, Lulu.
All right, come on, Lou.
Hey.
Come on, Lou.
That's a good dog.
Aha!
Good puppy. Right?
Yeah, it's the Rob Crueljack effect, right?
Of course it is. Huh? Look at that. I even got kisses.
All right. Well, we proved it. It's not. Oh, holy cow.
Eric, come here. You just don't want me standing up.
Yeah.
Sit. Oh,
There we go.
That's a good puppy.
Can you hear my other dumb dog in there barking? All right, good job, Lou. As always, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time away from your garden to come visit mine, or one that we actually visit. Now go to dougoster.com for more information about everything we talked about today. Lots of other garden content there. And get out there, shop for bargains, and keep planting. And we'll see you next week.